Hey everyone, welcome to another chat with me, Joe Mayo. I'm here Saturday, May 16th at 4:30 p.m. Eastern. And tonight's the night, huh? Tonight we're going to have Paul McCartney on Saturday Night Live, maybe with a guest appearance. No, nobody has said that, of course, for sure. But we're hoping that Ringo pays a guest appearance to join Paul, maybe for the song Home to Us duet, live TV. It's a lot to hope for, but it would be nice. Okay, hold on. As soon as I start this, the allergy strike, clearing throats, my throat. Okay, hello, Gary. You're number one here today. What's the good word, sir? That's what WTGW means. What's the good word? Which I don't say all the time anymore. I stopped saying it. James Farley. What's up, James? And George. Hello, George. Frankie Valley, the Four Seasons guru. Music for all four seasons. Hi, Douglas. And hello, Brian. Brian. Okay. And hello, Brett. What do you think of the new George Harrison book and the new single coming out in October from the Harrison estate? I'm lost on both. Which book are we talking about in particular? And the new single? What is this? What's this news to me? It's Ollie Perry. Hello, Ollie. Haven't seen you in a while. Okay, folks. What's going on? I mean, I assume people out there were excited about Saturday Night Live tonight, at least, you know, in the East Coast where I am. I don't know. I'm excited about it. Okay, I don't know about Brett. I don't know about that George Harrison book. What do we have here? Is this from Mexico? Hello, hello, Conga Man, Jack, and we're here to talk about Beatles. That could be anything: Beatles, group of solo, or anything else within reason. I always say that. Got to say that. I always reserve the right to not discuss certain topics, especially politics and stuff like that. Although I don't generally like AI, did you see the AI video for "In the Stars" by the Stones? I thought it was great. I did not see that. I'm totally out of the loop with the Stones, even though I liked their last album, Hackney Diamonds, very much. I've yet to follow through with this one. I know the album itself for the Stones is coming out in July, and I'll get into it then. I'll give it a spin then, because I like the last one so much. Ali, very healthy and working normal hours, so haven't been around the tubes much. Well, thanks for popping in on the live stream. When you can, I appreciate it. I did hear the clip of Salesman Saint. I watched the McCartney interview. By the way, it was a great McCartney interview. What is the one here? The rest is it? The rest is entertainment. I think it's called. That was great. I just want to say that particular, it's about a half an hour or so with Paul at Abbey Road Studios. I got to tell you, that particular interview, Paul looked great and he sounded great. And I say that because, I'm an honest guy. And there's times when I've said, oh, Paul looks seems like he looks his age. I was watching, the Hunt for the Lost Basin. At the end, I thought he looked a little, aged. He looks fantastic in this interview. And also this other one, where Salesman Saint. But getting back to that, I only heard the clip. I'll have to hear the finished track. It didn't grab me because it wasn't particularly catchy tune or anything. From what I heard, it was just a few moments I heard of Salesman Saint, but it did have deep meaning about his mother and dad. So I have to hear it. But we'll see how that goes when I hear it. Did you go to the record store for the DVD and Blu-rays a third time? No, I did not. Well, I was at the record store and I looked and just to look, but I didn't buy anything. Sorry, Danny. Sorry, James. Okay, just hear me out. What if Paul performed with Ringo on the top of the Three Savile Row again next April? Would not that be crazy? It would be fantastic. It'd be fantastic. You never know. It's possible. Do I think it would happen? Can't say yes or no, but it's possible. What do you think of the advertisement of Saturday Night Live with Will Ferrell and Paul McCartney? Yeah, I saw a few of those. They had like 3, 4, 5 of those. The advertisement, clips. I thought it was fun again. I thought Paul looked great. I thought he looked great and sounded great. You know, um, it's funny at past times in Paul's older life, in his 70s and early 80s, there have been times where I thought his voice, his speaking voice even wasn't so good. I think his speaking voice now is better than it's been before. And that happens, maybe, he's practiced or had some work or something, but he presents himself very well now, projects very well. I got to say, I'm impressed. I'm glad that Paul's looking and sounding so well in these interviews that I've been seeing. On YouTube, I recently discovered the audio-only video for the Led Zeppelin concert I was at on August 1971 in Vancouver, Canada. Their performance was amazing. I've always heard that Zeppelin wasn't that good live. I mean, I don't really know. I like Zeppelin. Their studio albums. I picked up the Beach Boys Pet Sounds session highlights. I have the big CD box set from '96. Your thoughts? Well, I'm not a fan of Pet Sounds, so I didn't hear the highlights. My thoughts on you picking up the big CD box set, though. Good for you. I hope you like it. Do you know anyone who's going to scope out a call tonight outside of Saturday Night Live studio? I do not. But what's interesting is the one of the big modes of transportation, the Long Island Railroad, is on strike today. They went on strike today. So today is the day of the show. So if anybody from Long Island was going to go and take the LIRR to go see Paul, well, they're on strike. So they're crap out of luck. Penny Lane, you're in my ears and in my eyes. What's going on? I hope Ringo will join Paul live on Saturday Night Live. We will see. Everybody's hoping for that, And I always say though, if Ringo was indeed going to be a surprise guest on there, I'm wondering how he would be able to make the rounds and get into New York and Saturday Night Live and do the rehearsals, because you got to rehearse. How they would do that without him being spotted? I fear that, if they somehow were going to have Ringo on there with Paul doing Home to Us, I think we'd know about it somehow, but I don't know. Maybe we'll still be surprised. I think Lorne Michaels will hand the $3,000 check to Ringo and Paul. They will accept just a skit. That would be nice. Because, that whole skit with paying the Beatles back in 1976, if you all appear, or just, you want to come on here live, we'll give you a little check. They've played that up. I think it might have been in 75. I remember for 75 or 76 when they did that. But anyway, then you had, in 76, George showed up looking for some of the money, and they would, said, no, it's supposed to be the four of you, not just you, or something like that. Right. And then Paul also later on, when Paul went on, I think in 93 or so, they played that up again. So that's like an ongoing inside gag, Saturday Night Live offering the Beatles money to appear together. So it would be great it would be great if Ringo was a guest and they could do that skit. This time they got two Beatles. This would be the first time they didn't get all four, but they got two. That would be interesting, Paul looked great on Saturday Night Live, but how will he sing? Will we be surprised? I don't know. He's sounding pretty good on what I've heard of the new album so far. Hello, Bernard. How are you? Over in Paris. Rolling Stone magazine gave Paul's new album 4.5 stars. Yeah, there's a lot of good reviews. The pressure's on. you know, I just saw a review somewhere 4 out of 5 stars. Somebody, I forget where, somebody gave it 4 out of 5. So this is apparently a good album, and it was something that was well worth the wait. We haven't heard it. I haven't heard it yet, but apparently it's a pretty good one from those who've heard it. So it's a long shot. Oh, you mean Now and Then? Now and Then is a long shot. Yeah, I think it's a very long shot. Saw your video about the excessive number of editions of the Boys of Dungeon Lane album. What do you think of people who buy things out of consumerism rather than for genuine collecting? It's really up to the individual. I was just pretty much speaking my feelings on that video, what I thought. Um, I don't know. I don't know. It's up to the individual. It's your money. It's the individual's money. They do what they want with it. And I certainly have been on both sides of this. That's been my argument for a long time. People will say, "Why are you buying all this shit?" And I say, "It's my money. I'll do what the hell I want with it. No, not your business." And now I'm sitting here and pointing fingers. Oh, it's a little excessive there. I think it's not. I'm starting to feel like it's excessive. A lot of people in the comments under that video didn't understand that. A lot of them said, "Oh, you're a hypocrite," all this bullshit, because they say, "Look around you. You say you're not going to buy all these color variations. Look around you." And first of all, I bought all this stuff in the past. I'm talking about now going forward. I can't help the stuff I've already bought. And second of all, I'm really only talking about the excess for that video with regard to 15 variations of Boys of Dungeon Lane, 15 and counting. And I'll put it down here officially for when it happens, and it will happen. Eventually, Paul is going to put out versions of Dungeon Lane, Boys of Dungeon Lane, probably with bonus tracks that were not on the regular album. Those I will buy because I want all the tracks. I'm just personally am toning it way down when it comes to buying, a dozen or 15 or 20 copies of something. I mean, that's how I feel about it. Not everybody feels the same, obviously. Oh, today is the 60th anniversary of Pet Sounds. Oh, did you see the promo for the Tonight Show? Yes, I did. I thought Paul looked great in it and it sounded great. Yes. Good afternoon, Robbie. Cheers. Let's hope Paul's new album is better than Home to Us. I liked Home to Us. I want that to be, understood. I just said I didn't think it was the greatest thing I'd ever heard since Penny Lane or anything. People were making that out to be like a masterpiece, assumed to be classic ultimately. And I just thought it was good. It was good. It was fun. It was entertaining having Ringo and Paul together like two buddies. It was fine. But come on. That's just my opinion. I did not like Pet Sounds when I first heard it, as the songs and albums often do. It grew on me. I now do think it's a great album. Well, that happens for a lot of people. Sure. There we go. There's Tom. Hey, Tom. Hope you're having a good time or in Cleveland. You shouldn't care what an individual does with their money. Exactly. I mean, I will always agree with that. I will agree with that. There was a moment during my video near the end where I said, "Look, guys, you can do what you owe your money, but you've been had." And then I stopped. If you watch it, I caught myself and said, "Well, wait a minute. It's up to the individual to feel they're had." And a lot of people say, "You're wasting." They've told me, right, Tom? They say, you're wasting your money. You've wasted your money, and I'm like, that's not for anybody to tell us. It's only wasted if you feel you wasted it. If you feel it was worth it for you and you're happy and you're content, you didn't waste the damn thing. It's up to you, I think. But anyway, hello, Danny. We know you're watching. For me, going to my record store's listening party and buying the Silver album, may get the CD later if I like it. Well, for me, the CD is always first and foremost. I get the CD, I'll be going to the listening party. I'm going to try to go to the listening party, but I won't be buying the Silver vinyl. Home to Us has grown on me. That's good to hear. It's a fun track. A testament to the music that we're talking about, Beatles reunions 56 years later. Hello, Tony D. Okay. Oh, Tom's not in Cleveland anymore. Okay. Sorry, Tom. Got it mixed up. Well, I saw two interviews with Paul. The one I'm talking about again was really good. It was with a man and a woman. It was called "The Rest Is Entertainment." Fantastic. I think that's a fantastic half hour spent with Paul. It was beautiful. And I said earlier, Paul looked great, and he sounded great. He looks phenomenal for his age, and I think he's really. There are times when I've said, oh, I've said this earlier for those who missed it. There are times when I've said, gee, I call it as I see it. If he does a particular interview, and I think like he seemed a little tired on the clip with the robot that was played after the Man on the Run film. But he looks like he's tired. Maybe he was. Maybe just tired. That's all. Or but this time he looks great anyway. And I like when he talks about uh, you know how the whole thing about how he presents himself, and he doesn't let his head get too swelled of who he is or anything like that. And I was disappointed to hear him say again about the thing about he won't take pictures with anybody. If people want to take a picture with pull their phones out, he says, "I'm sorry, I don't do pictures." And that's 100% true. I've seen him with pictures with people recently, but I get it. And then he compares it to being a monkey. He feels like when people want to take a picture with me, I feel like that old thing where you used to have a monkey and you could pay to have your picture taken with a monkey. And I feel like the monkey. And I'm sitting there thinking to myself, and this is my opinion. Maybe he feels like that now, but he didn't always apparently feel like that. I think personally that it's because of his age. That's just me. I think he may be self-conscious about his appearance a little more. That's just my guess, my hunch. But you have to. So I guess I could forget about the idea of meeting him on the street one day and say, "Hey, can we get a photo?" But I always figured if I meet him, I'd joke around with him, and if I had my phone camera, I'd say, "Paul, say I promise you, if we take the picture, I'll be the monkey." How's that for a line? That's an icebreaker. I don't know. Anyway, yeah, that's okay. A lot of people do. Pet Sounds is a uh, cherished classic album that I just don't get. It's as simple as that. Okay. Hello, Simon. I'm looking forward to 2027 to visit 3 Savile Row. It should be a good experience. Well, certainly a fun museum and exhibit. And from what it's going to be, you get to see the studio and you get to go on the roof. Yeah. Okay, Tom. Thank you very much. Saying a lot of good things here about Paul because I feel it. That's how I do. I feel it as I see it. When the guy looks great, I say, "Look, it looks great." When he sounds great, he sounds terrific. And when I feel not, I say, "Well, that wasn't such a good presentation." What's wrong with calling it as it is? So we see it. Which do you predict will be better, New Rolling Stones or New McCartney? That's it. Well, without having heard all of them or any of the Stones, I don't know. But I'm thinking already the McCartney album is getting a good write ups. So already you get like some acclaim. So, but I'm not talking about money. I'm talking about true collecting or buying just anything can amount to that. Collecting should be a generally selective pursuit. Well, I see. I don't know if I agree with that though. I don't know if I agree with that because a collector just collects almost everything. I mean, I don't think. I mean, I'm a collector, but I'm trying to get more selective as now that I'm older. That's just what it is. A lot of people think, oh, he really wants to. He really wants all those albums, but he can't afford them. If I wanted all of those albums, different vinyl of Boys of Dungeon Lane, believe me, I'd find a way to get it. I'd make it work. I'd buy them. I've always done that. However, I'm just being more selective, and it's not even the money. The money's part of it. The money's part. I don't have as much expendable cash to throw around like I used to at this age. So I just turned 64. I'm not at the end of my life, but I hope. I'm always superstitious. But I'm not exactly 30 either. So the thing is, I have to be a little more selective. And I just find that there's not enough time left to warrant having like 15 copies of The Boys of Dungeon Lane sitting on a shelf after I get done sharing them with you, which is always fun. Look at this color, look at that color. After that, I'm not going to touch them for the rest of my life. I mean, really, maybe I'll play one color here, one color maybe once or twice. You know what I mean? All this stuff is becoming more of a realism to me. But again, but with what you said about collecting, I think that collectors, real chronic, hardcore, dedicated collectors, they want everything. I think a collector is more apt to collect everything without being selective. But then again, there are collectors like me who are being more selective now. They were taking user emails for questions to ask Paul. You don't know what my question would have been. Oh, I hope it wasn't boxes of briefs. Hope talk you look, James. You weren't going to ask boxes of briefs, were you? Oh boy. Uh, yeah, I saw the other one. I forget the man's name. The other one. The other one was it was more about Liverpool. It was interesting too. The other one was yeah, an interview with mostly talking about Paul's upbringing in Liverpool and that. How much do I enjoy Bob Dylan? Quite a bit. I wouldn't say I enjoy everything he does. I'm not a completist with Bob Dylan. I don't have every single one of his albums, but I do like. I would say I do like Bob Dylan. Generally speaking, I'd say I like him. Yeah, I like. Paul did say he liked adulation. He admitted it, which is great. And I still say when people say that Paul is, playing concerts and he's doing this and that because he wants the money. I'm not saying Paul doesn't like money, but I don't think he needs the money. I don't think he really wants the money. I think when he plays concerts and when he keeps working and putting new songs out there, he's doing it mostly because he admits I love the adulation. And what's wrong with that? I love this interview. You got to see it. You got to see it. I keep forgetting the name of it. Once again, it is called "The Rest Is Entertainment." Okay, I think that's the name of it. It's incredible the way he talks about adulation and how he enjoys it. And that's basically what he's doing it for. He likes the satisfaction of that, and I like he described his music. He said, I don't know if he said your babies or something like you sit here and you write songs, and they're yours at first, and nobody's hearing them. Then they put them out there in the world, and once they go out there in the world, now all of a sudden everybody can hear them, and it feels good when people say they like it. So very good for him. Uh, Hello, Kenny. What's going on? Good afternoon. The Wings exhibit in Cleveland. Thoughts? Well, I know that Tom Tognati was there, and I think Andy too. I think it's a good thing. I don't care personally. I wouldn't go to Cleveland just for that. I don't even know if I go into Manhattan for it, to tell you the truth. I'm just changed in a lot of ways with things. I mean, it's okay. It's a good thing. It's a good thing to have. I like all the promotion for Paul's new album. I agree. He's looking good in recent videos. Yeah, I think so. I think that's what I say. Yeah. Uh, so things are different from 2020 when you got the George crate. Yes, they are different, And I only say that way, Tony, because a lot of people are trying in a lame effort that doesn't work to nail me or play gotcha. You actually have people talking about the past. I can't change the past. Now, would I have bought the George Harrison All Things Must Pass crate if it was released now with my attitude now? I still would, I think. Okay, because again, it's not one suit fits all. It's not all black or all white. It's shadings of gray in there. You have to decide for yourself as an individual, I think, what it is you want to have and why. For whatever reason, I kept the George Harrison All Things Must Pass crate, but I decided to sell off the Mind Games cube. I have a little bit of seller's remorse for it. I kind of wish I still had it in a way, but it was just I found it was too expensive. I spent the money on the Mind Games cube, and then after considering it, I thought I spent too much on that. So I was luckily I knew somebody who wanted it and gave me what I paid for it in person. I was able to meet with this person, and we did it. But I'd like to have it if I could get it much cheaper. You know what I mean? I guess. But anyway, I'm saying, to sit here just because I keep buying things, or I'll still collect things here and there, and certain colored vinyl. I'm still getting the green Boys of Dungeon Lane vinyl. I'm getting the gatefold edition. But so far, I've only got the two, that I'm getting for sure. Quality over quantity when I collect. Well, that's what I've come down to too. And I got to tell you, dear old Mikey Arugula, and my friend Mikey out there, he's a wild man when it comes to collecting. And Mikey, I've told him this in person. I don't know how he feels about this, but his collecting actually was instrumental, partly, in making me want to stop collecting that much. Yeah, it had the reverse effect. It's just Mikey buys so much stuff that I wouldn't buy. Let's be honest. I've learned quality over quantity for me. Mr. Blood Vessel, what's the good word? The new Stones video has them turned back to how they looked in their 20s while playing their new songs. Brother. The wonders of AI. Yep. Of course not. I would ask him, has anybody commented on your old man voice yet? Oh, that's nice. Very nice. Come on, man. Okay. Yes, I know about this, and I'm not getting them. I am not getting the Target exclusive CD, and I'm not getting the Walmart exclusive CD. Nope. I did that with other things in the past. But then again, see, I say no. But if somewhere in the future there's something really great, they come out with an exclusive, say in 2028 or something, and I really like what that exclusive is. I like that's a special, then I might do it. But this, because, to hold it down to like verbatim, you don't ever buy anything extra. That's not what I'm saying. Being more selective. I enjoy Pet Sounds. It seems as time goes on, it becomes the greatest album of all time. And I don't even want to read these comments. And that I have a hard time. Oh, but you said I have a hard time understanding. So we do agree on that one, right? McCartney did like it. They really run with that. Yeah, they always run with that. Yeah, of course. And everybody runs with it. There's people that try to get me to like Pet Sounds because McCartney loved it. It was Paul McCartney's favorite album. Good for Paul. I don't have to love everything Paul McCartney loves. New book about the influence the Beatles had on Bob Dylan and vice versa. Very nice. This AI crap, I went on Facebook the other day to see that Ringo's daughter, Lee, died. She didn't, fortunately. It was just AI bullshit. Exactly. And also about Ringo, I saw on there that they had that his wife, Barbara, was not well and she was suffering. She was in the hospital with Ringo. That's bullshit. That didn't happen either. And I got to tell you, it's out of control in some regards. And I still say there's got to be a law. There's got to be law and penalties for doing things like that. They got to find a way. And as I say, nip it in the bud. Nip it in the AI bud before it goes out of control. I have nothing against. I loved Ringo's video. Ringo's video of him driving. I don't know what kind of car it was. Is it a Jeez, I don't know what it is. A fancy car with the top open, driving through Manhattan. Obviously, Ringo's not going to do that. I have no problem with AI for a music video, usually. It's a different thing. Again, you have these feelings, right? And sometimes people hold you to it. Well, I thought you didn't like AI, Joe. Well, generally speaking, I hate it. But things like we're talking about, making up fake stories about Ringo's daughter and Ringo's wife, and they're not true. That kind of bullshit. No, I'm against that 100% of AI. Or making phony songs, making it seem like Paul sang on, I don't know, Bing Crosby's record where that never happened. I don't like stuff like that. Many true McCartney fans from way back would never even consider buying the new one. I will, but I understand. No, I don't understand. I had a guy, he was very vocal against me and stuff like that. And one of the comments, it was hilarious. This guy, he's saying to me, "Oh, you're one of these guys that would pay $350 to see Paul." Let me tell you, I'm the biggest Paul. Well, he said one. I'm one of the biggest Paul McCartney fans of all time. I watched Ed Sullivan with my mother, he said. And goes on and he says, but I haven't seen him since Flowers in the Dirt tour, and I never would again. Blah 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 blah. And I'm like, you're a big fan, all right. I love people that, no offense a lot of the older first generation fans, not all of them, but enough of them, think just because they sat down and watched Ed Sullivan in 1964, they're the biggest fans there are. No, you're one of the oldest fans there are, but not necessarily the biggest. How high do you rate the Ringo Long Road music video? Well, I didn't put a rating on it. I'd give it a solid 9 out of 10 or something. It's pretty big. I thought it was very good. I did a video on it. Hello, Greg. Good to see you. I don't know if you noticed back here, I got some old Famous Monsters magazine back here with the Bride of Frankenstein on it sitting there, and got a few lately. What's going on, Henry? Let's see. Time for Paul to cease live shows. Vocals poor. Problem with that is, Jim, I come and go on that all the time. I change my mind on that all the time. There was a time when I said, I think it's time, in my opinion, it would be nice if Paul just stopped playing live and saved his voice for future studio recordings, right? But the fact of the matter is, and there's other times where I hear him and he sounds pretty good for his age, and it goes like that all the time. I'll hear a performance and I was like when he did the Lady Madonna on the COVID show thing, and that was awful. Then I hear him with Chrissie Hynde doing "Oh Darling," that was awful. But then I see him at Glastonbury. He sounds good. I think he sounds really good, And I saw him in New Jersey, MetLife Stadium in 2022, and I thought he sounds really good. So that I take it like that. And the bottom line is, people go to see Paul McCartney to be in the same stadium or the same theater with the man, to have a wonderful experience watching a living legend, and most of them don't mind that he doesn't sound the same. Most of them. That's the truth. Let's be honest about it. Are you going to get the new Dracula with the extended stage ending? Well, if they ever put that out it's not official that they're going to put that out yet. It hasn't been announced. If they do, I'll have to get it. Yes. Mikey admitted that he has no future plans for his collection. It's just for fun. And he said it's out of control. Well, it is. He's right. Do you find you like to have stuff just to have it, especially if it's nostalgic? I do. Some things I like to have just to have, and I don't have. I had an example with me, but I don't have it here. It was a laser disc of an Abbott and Costello movie called The Naughty 90s. It has Who's on First on it. I don't have a Laserdisc player. I never had a Laserdisc player. I'm never going to play this Laserdisc. But it was only $5, this thing. And it was a Laserdisc, and it looked cool, and it was suitable for framing. At the very least, it made a good picture frame, So, I mean, I wanted to have it because it was nostalgic. And I'm also getting nostalgic for these things here. These are called snapper cases. This is a Katharine Hepburn, Cary Grant, James Stewart movie, The Philadelphia Story. It's a snapper case. And these are old style snapper cases. Now, a lot of people don't like the snapper cases. I see these things have never failed. I got to say, they never failed. And these have been replaced. They don't have these anymore. This is from the 90s. But now I'm getting to the point where just to have snapper cases is pretty cool. To me, anyway. That's my latest thing. You could find more about movies like that and collecting physical media like that on my movie channel. And we all know what the name of the movie channel is. It's called, there it is, Mr. Cinemayo. And please subscribe if you haven't already, because that's where you got the movies and the TV and nostalgia. There was just a big collection that I picked up of movies, physical media. So we'll get back to our regularly scheduled program now. But just put that there for a little bit. Leave that there for a little bit. All right. Sorry, I got to go back up here to the top now because I got some questions. Okay, you like it, but not as great as of all time. Yeah. Paul's vocals live. Are we all worried it will spoil his and the Beatles' legacy? There was a time when I thought it might. If he didn't sound too good, it could ruin his legacy. Now, fast forward to 2026, and we have yet to hear his performance tonight on Saturday Night Live. That's on tonight. Don't forget to tune in on NBC. I don't think, no matter what happens, I think his legacy is assured. Okay. I'm to the point now where it's not going to spoil anything. Even if he gets on stage and just goes, which is not going to happen, he's still going to have his legacy in cement. You know, I mean, he doesn't have to worry about it. We don't have to worry about it. Well, yeah, I definitely put any Beatle album over Pet Sounds, but that's because I'm not wild about it. That's all. Hello, Day Tripper. What's going on? No, I don't think so. If anybody wants to discuss that, I'll let you. But I've explained how I feel about it. It varies from performance to performance, and I think lately, recent times, the last year or so, or a couple of years, I think Paul has actually done better than he has in the past. That's what I think. Yeah, well, that's what we're going to see. You know, the detriments. The detriments could very well start outweighing the good. I don't know. All right. Yes, Glastonbury performance was really good. Darren, what's going on? No singing for me tonight. No way. Uh, Nothing will erase the days we left behind. Oh, no, nothing can erase. I don't know. Yeah, that's a little bit of singing. I'm sorry, I made people sick there. I lost a few viewers when I did that. So anyway, so far, I like the first two Stones releases on the new album better than anything on Hackney Diamonds. Oh, really? That's interesting because I loved Hackney Diamonds. So, all right, that's enough. Jim, there's no need to keep on going on and on. We know how you feel about Paul's vocals. I'm not going to entertain any more of it from you because you've made your opinion known. Yeah, I got the rock and roll John Lennon rock and roll T-shirt. Absolutely. How did you meet Jack Douglas? What did you talk about? It was my dream to meet him. Well, he was at one of the Fest for Beatles fans. I think 2019, maybe, or was it that, or was it later? I think it was 2019, around there, something like that. And it was fun meeting him. I just had him asked him to sign my double fantasy album here, the back cover, John and Yoko standing there. And I just wanted him to know that even back in the day, I was 18 years old, even back then, the first thing that hit me about this was the production quality. It just sounded vibrant. I loved the sound of it. What a well-produced album. And I want to tell him how much I liked his production on it. So, yeah, famous monsters of filmland, bringing us back to our childhoods. Uh, do I think the new Ringo video is as great as the Now and Then video? I would give the edge to Now and Then, but I think that the Long, Long Road Ringo video is kind of up there, too. Paul still sings amazing live. Saw him in December 24. People need to stop with that crap. Well, the thing is, in all fairness, people are allowed their opinions. Let's be honest. We don't like, some of us don't like to hear that. I guess I fall in the category as an old fan, but I'm not with a lot of my older friends. Gotcha. They moved the reissues of Flowers in the Dirt to December. I wonder why. Is some other release coming out after The Boys at Dungeon Lane? I don't know. Flowers in the Dirt, I'm not interested in another version of that at this point. Hello, new subscriber. Yeah, Too Many Colors. I agree on Paul McCartney. I picked the Amoeba version. Yeah, they might have got me. They might have got me with the Amoeba version if the cover had been more attractive. To me, it looked like a splooge of sperm splattered on there. I mean, like, what the hell was that? On it. I know people have told me that's the Amoeba. That's the Amoeba symbol. It's Amoeba Records. And I'm like, whatever. It looks like a splatter of paint. I didn't like it. If it had it been a great picture of Paul or some kind of great artwork, I might have been swayed a little bit. Lawrence Juber and Steve Holly. But I did not see that interview, but I know of it. I saw the thumbnail for it. I saw the thumbnail. What about Ringo Starr's voice? How come they don't do something together? Well, they just did a song "Home to Us." It's on the new upcoming McCartney album. If you're talking about live, they perform live at times. Yeah, a song here, a song there. I think this, I know this is kind of crude, and if George is watching Music for All Four Seasons, I know what you're saying, though, Henry. You're saying, if you watch some of the videos of Frank Valli, you say he's half dead. He's half dead on stage now, and that doesn't take away from his older songs at all. I agree. There was a time when I thought, oh, if Paul's not careful, he's going to ruin his reputation. No, he's not. I'm past that now. And a lot of people are watching me now. I hope you realize, I'm complimenting. People think I never compliment Paul. I just thought that freaking the rest is entertainment. That's 4 times I'm looking at that rest is entertainment interview is really great. He looks and sounds great, and I like what he was talking about on it. Sinatra in his 70s didn't spoil his legacy. Same with McCartney. There you go. Think Beatlefest will come back? I have a feeling that it won't. You know what's interesting? Mark Lapidus, who runs the Fest for Beatles fans, I saw a quote from him somewhere online where he said that he was going to be doing a fest next year, 2027, in both the New Jersey one and the Chicago one. But right now he's working on a book, I guess, about the fest. That's what I read. So take that for what it is, but I did see that. Did Sinatra's voice ever get bad, though? I don't know, because my girlfriend, who's like, who knows, who's a singer herself, often says he never, after the Capitol years, she felt he didn't do as well. Hello, Sal. Sal's place. Difference is Sinatra wasn't performing rock songs, and his songs mostly are the same in terms of keys. All right. Jack Douglas was literally the last person Lennon ever talked to. Him and Yoko were the last two. Well, I don't know about literally the last person, because there was a receptionist of somebody that supposedly got the last autograph from John. The new Ringo video, very moving and just wonderful. Yeah, I think it's a lot of fun. I met and spoke with a P. Spoke to Jack Douglas at the fest. Let's be real. People don't go to see Paul McCartney nowadays for a great voice. People go to see Paul McCartney in the flesh, no matter how weak his voice is. Well, that's what I think. People don't care. The diehards don't mind, In Paul's last interview with Abbey Road, he said he didn't like bebop. Yeah, that was another good thing. The guy asked him, I don't want to ruin it for everybody, but it says, like, are there any songs you wrote that you think, he said John Lennon used to put down some of his work. Is there anything? And he come up with bebop. Paul said, what was I thinking with that? I like bebop. I realize what it's not a really great song. It's just a fun little ditty that he sings playing around. It's not supposed to be a great song. It's not Let It Be, So I do like it. Thankfully, I only do CDs, so I'm not tempted by any colored vinyl, but I just bought all the Lennon SHM CDs. A waste of money on one hand, but I have to say they do really look nice. Well, that's another thing, too. You see, if you feel that them looking really nice was enough to spend the money on, that's your decision, right? It's my decision. It's all of our decisions. Okay, how many people did you meet who were interacting with John during his final days? Out of these people you mentioned, I met Bob Gruen. He was fun to meet, and I met him in New York City last October. He was a great guy. Got a photo with him and talked to him a little about John. And Jack Douglas. Out of those two, the only ones I met were Jack Douglas and Bob Gruen. Yeah. Yep. I kind of agree about Frankie Valli, but I wonder how George feels about it. He's coming up. I see George is coming up weighing in soon. I have two of the John Lennon vinyl box sets. One has the early mispress of rock and roll, with one song repeating and one song missing. I'd rather just have a corrected set, even though it's a collectible. Thoughts? It's a tough one. I don't have. See, again, people think I buy everything or have everything. I don't have that set. I think it's cool to have the incorrect one. It's cool to have. I don't know if you want to get the corrected album, maybe just get it on its own single. You know, I say at least Valley's on stage, regardless what others have to say. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion. There you go, straight from the primo Valley fan himself. Bob Dylan also sounds terrible nowadays. Doesn't mean he's not the greatest living musical artist. Well, the thing with Dylan is a lot of people think that he never sounded that great to begin with. I've never had the greatest voice, and when it comes to Dylan, it's not about his voice; it's about his art, his lyrics, his poetry, the way he puts a song out there. It makes you think. I saw a 60 Minutes interview with Jack Douglas where he said he has 1980 versions of I Want to Hold Your Hand and She Loves You that Lennon did in preparation for what would have been an 81 tour. Yeah, I've never heard, though. I think I might have heard that he said that, but I never saw the interview. So I just heard that he said it. I didn't see him say it. But I really wonder about that. That's be nice to hear, but I don't know. Bip Bop is a masterpiece, just like Hey Diddle, I Want You. I like that too, that Hey Diddle song. I like that too. You got to know what it is. See, that's the thing I've always said too. When you like a song, you say, hey, don't get all bent out of shape about it. This is not supposed to be Eleanor Rigby. This is just what it is, right? Relax. It's just a little ditty. It's not meant to be great art. Take it easy. Chill out. If you don't like the song, then you say, oh, man, that song just a throwaway piece of garbage. Right? Same thing I do with like cartoon songs. If I like a Beatles song like Yellow Submarine, I love it. I do not like Yellow Submarine getting bashed so much today. A lot of people do not like the song Yellow Submarine anymore. It's wonderful, especially because Ringo does it. It's a beautiful song. So people say, oh, well, that's like a kiddie song. And I say, well, I don't care. Ringo puts it forward. Ringo, if it wasn't for lovable, good old Ringo doing his thing, I wouldn't like it as much as, say, Paul or George sang it or John. But I like that it's a Ringo tour de force. I love that. But anyway, so I say it's a cartoon song. So what? Who cares? But then I listen to something like the Frog Chorus, where we all stand together, and I say, oh, that's just a kiddie song. It's a kiddie song. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's funny how we use the same excuse to either to like it or not like it. No, I don't think so. I never got the feeling that Bob cared about his voice. Yes, I've heard of. Yes, I know this guy. Yeah, yeah. He was the guy that was in the motorcycle crash when at the same time he was in the emergency room with John Lennon. Yeah, yeah. Went to the Cafe La Fortuna where John loved to go and talk with Vinny before they shut down, who knew John. Apparently, John was ordering lots of coffee. Yeah, he was big on caffeine and nicotine still. Yeah. Bip Bop was a song for his daughter. I enjoyed the Mikey Arugula video with the Yellow Submarine collectibles. Good, I'm glad. Come on. You get me, Paul, you're driving me crazy because, Band on the Run. He better not be doing Band on the Run. You said Paul will be doing Days We Left Behind and Band on the Run. Excuse my typing errors, you're saying. Then you put Band on the Run. Now you're telling me you got this on authority. See, the thing is, now you ruined the surprise. I mean, you ruined it. Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Uncle Paul, for ruining my surprise. First of all, a lot of people were saying, I'll say a lot of people, some people on YouTube were saying, I hope he's not going to do Band on the Run. Me too. I actually, my prediction was he was going to do Help. He's going to do Help and Days We Left Behind. And maybe if Ringo joins him, Home to Us. But that'll be disappointing to me if he does just Band on the Run and Days We Left Behind. Yeah. If you ever make it to the UK, you're welcome to come have a listening session with me. Well, okay, Paul, thank you. I can't tell you how many people have invited me to places. If you go to England, you can stay here. If I want to go to the Gap Theater, which is several hours drive for me, I could stay at a guy's house. He lives there. Yeah. I don't comment to condemn my favorite artist. I'm a big fan, like all of us, and have 5 versions of the new studio album ordered. But I fear the vocals ruin Paul's reputation. I hope his kids advise to see shows. Not going to happen. The kids are not going to advise Paul to see shows, I don't think. And no, it's not that it's that you keep repeating it. You see what I mean? You made it clear. I have no problem with you voicing your opinion. Please do. Not enough people are that honest about it. They don't want to be honest. They don't want to look at the dark side of anything or downside. But anyway, you don't have to keep repeating it again and again and again. That's all I'm saying. You know, that's one of the very few things, in my opinion, that's better about today. Smoking is largely banned. That's one of the things. Studio vocals are fine for what I've heard of the 2 tracks of Dungeon Lane. Didn't mean to ruin it, Joe. I thought you would like to know. Well, yeah, I know you meant well, Paul. I was having some fun for the sake of the live stream, but I was like, oh, thanks, Paul. But I mean, I figured he would do Days We Left Behind, but Band on the Run, a bad choice. Sorry. Yeah, it's a great song and everything. We don't need him doing Band on the Run again. As a 9-year-old, I saw the Yellow Submarine film in school, and that was the beginning of my fandom. A lot of people got into it from Yellow Submarine. Hello, Christian. Henry, regarding that question about my friend Beatley Tone, I suggest you ask him. You know, I mean, I think he's doing well. Let's leave it. Let's say that. You know, have you been watching any new movies or TV shows recently? If you mean new movies, I watched a movie for the first time. It's 1934, though, Out of Your League, I think. Not out of your, not necessarily league, but out of your favorite period. With Betty Davis, called Of Human Bondage. I'm going to talk about that on my next movie show. When they gave Dylan the Nobel Prize for Literature, even he didn't think he deserved it. His strength was his lyrics. The music was secondary. Yeah, that's what I think. Crazy how Mick Jagger and Billy Joel still sound like they're in their 20s. Yeah. Yes, I agree. Car backup cameras are one of my favorite things about today. Every time I back up and I put the thing in reverse and I see that camera, I'm like, how did we live without it? And sometimes you got a sore neck, or you're like, I really don't want to turn my neck all the way around, you know? So, yeah, I like backup cameras. Ramoga, what's a good word, Ramoga? How the hell are you? Hello, Lynette. I can't imagine he'll do Band on the Run. He's already done that on Saturday Night Live. Well, I think, not sure, but I think maybe Uncle Paul here, Uncle Paul's Beatles Pop Playhouse. Check his channel out, by the way. You can do that. I think he has some insider, maybe, information. I got into the Beatles with the Yellow Submarine movie, too. Well, that would be, geez, what time? I don't know if it's 4:30 a.m. UK time. I don't want Paul doing a song written by John, aka Help. I've gotten to the point where I'm okay with it. You know, I made a video or 2 or more 3, I think, talking about that and going into detail. I got over that, but anyway, here today would be a nice choice. Well, we could talk a lot about. We'd all have different songs. Band on the Run doesn't thrill me, honestly. At this point, I've heard it many times. I don't. Ideally, I don't want any Beatles songs on Saturday Night Live tonight, as I've heard them thousands of times. Yeah, but have you heard them doing them live on Saturday Night Live, though? That's a question. I never understood, but now I do. You're right about Paul. He's all about the safe commercial image, always reusing the greatest hits, saying cliche things, staying in the center. Well, that's Paul. That's what he does. He doesn't want to ruffle any feathers, doesn't want to make anybody unhappy, doesn't want to shoot the shit, the dirt. I mean, there were some exceptions. Always wants to steer clear from controversy. Exactly. I mean, again, I get that too. I get the idea. In some ways, I revere Paul and respect Paul for trying to do that, for trying to keep a good head, trying to stay cool, not offend anybody. And other times that's what I like about John. He's like, look, I think this sucks, and I think and this guy's a, this is what it is. That's that I kind of prefer that. But then again, that's what I'm saying. Why I'm always half and half with things, because in our lives we try to improve, and for people that are not forthcoming enough, honest enough, or candid enough, they may want to try to be a little more candid. Other people who are too candid, who are too in your face, and don't ever keep their remarks to themselves, they may want to try to practice a little more discretion. So I keep dreaming John is alive and singing "Nobody Told Me" live. What a waste! With John being gone, what a waste. No. I don't think he's doing Hey Jude. No. And he talked about that too. He talked about how why he's still feels to this day he's got to do the popular songs that people want. No problem. There it is again. If anybody wants to subscribe, Paul should sing one of the new songs for the boys at Dungeon Lane. He is. He's doing. Oh, you mean another thing besides Days We Left Behind? He's doing Days We Left Behind. He should focus on his new album instead of singing Band on the Run over and over. I will say one thing though, Uncle Paul. Even though Uncle Paul has told us that, and I guess this is kind of a breaking here, that he heard that Paul is going to be doing Days We Left Behind and Band on the Run on tonight's Saturday Night Live show. Those are the songs, he says. If Ringo was going to be a surprise guest, and if Ringo and Paul were going to duet on Home to Us, and we can only hope, would you know about it? Would the people know about it? That might not leak out. That might be, Yeah, that's the one who wrote of Human Bondage, but I don't really know if that's what we're talking about. Well, Dexter, maybe. I don't know about Dexter. I've never seen it, but it may be a good show, but I've got so much stuff to watch. That was just a cough. I mean, it's not to say it's not a great song, but I know even diehard Paul fans often say Band on the Run is becoming a little tired for them, the album too, Yep. I have been to Coney Island in my life. Yes, I have. I haven't been there in a while, and I never saw the Warriors. So I was 8 when I watched the Beatles on Ed Sullivan. I will be a fan till the day I die. Very good. I find it odd. By the way, they cut the Hey Bulldog scene out of the U.S. release, Yellow Submarine. Then they restored it in '99. One of the most memorable moments for me. It's one of the good moments, yes. Still awaiting word if Paul and Ringo accept invitation to perform Home to Us on the last Colbert this Thursday. Yes, supposedly they were right. They were offered an invitation to sing it. Well, they're not going to do both, Tony. You're not going to have Now and Then and Home to Us, I don't think. But I don't know. I saw an interviewer ask him a question about the state of America recently, and yeah, I saw him say that. I think it was right for him to say that. No matter what side, that's true. He said no matter what side people are on, people are like split, whether it's politically, they're divided. But when he's singing "Hey Jude," everybody sings together. It's all together and whatever. And I like that. For Paul's new album, they also have exclusives from Target, Red, I know, Walmart CD, Lyric, Vote, all that stuff. I'm out about this time, Jim. But thanks for reminding everybody. I realize I'm not obligated to, but I sometimes feel the need to defend John myself when he comes up in discussion with friends. Well, same with me. There used to be a time, where you never had to defend John Lennon. Never had to defend him. Now you got to defend him all the time. It's like unbelievable, man. Don't forget, he was in their Beatles too, and he's got all these good qualities in addition to the ones that people, lambast. Do you think Paul has done anything to his hair, or does he just have fantastic hair genes? My personal belief is that he probably has done something to his hair, a little bit to his hair. And you know what? I'm talking about not color. I'm talking about length or weave or something. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. In this case, I don't think either, though. But it's about presentation. Presentation. It would be interesting if Paul did Ram playing a mandolin on Saturday Night Live. I also think McCartney doesn't like Back to the Egg because of its commercial performance rather than its quality. Definitely. There's no doubt about it. That's an interesting quality about Paul. He tends to have an opinion on things based on what the performance is, critical or commercial performance. He disregards wildlife a lot. He disregards, obviously, Back to the Egg, Press to Play, Broad Street, all those things because they're not really well loved, and I hate that he does that. But Paul doing a Beatles deep cut tonight on Saturday Night Live would make my night. Paul could write an updated response to John's song "How Do You Sleep" called "How Do I Stay Awake at This Age." I hope I'm going to be able to stay awake tonight, by the way, 11:30 to 1, I hope. Based on Bulldog is divine. Well, most everything is. I agree. Most everything. Should he do faster paced songs on Saturday Night Live? I don't know. I don't know. He did Get Out of My Way in 1993, which is a rocker. You get fatigue factor when listening to Hey Jude, Band on the Run on your own time, but isn't it different when Paul is singing it in front of you? Not for me. Even when I see him in concert, I'm like, to the point now where Let Me Roll It Again, oh man, Band on the Run again, Let It Be again. I know he's got to do these songs. Hey Jude again, Live and Let Die again, even though Live and Let Die is a big spectacle with the explosions, but I think close to zero chance of Ringo joining Paul personally. Yes, Andrea, you're probably right. We can dream, but if it's going to happen, it'll be a total surprise. Still have to watch your DVD haul. We'll do that early tomorrow. Looks like good stuff. Yeah, check out my movie channel, Mr. Cinemayo. I did a couple of videos about some movies that I got, if you're interested in movies and physical media. Paul should sing Long-Haired Lady on Saturday Night Live. Well, where are you going to get the Linda part? You need Linda for that. If John had lived, do you think he eventually would have got some people together for his own solo band, like Wings and Traveling Wilburys? Maybe even join the Wilburys once or twice. I don't know. I mean, had George passed on, if George had passed on in 1980, would I ever think there'd be something called the Traveling Wilburys? No, you don't really know. It's you know marks out of 10 for Superman 1978. It's funny, I just saw it within the last couple of years again. I don't remember if I reviewed it or not. The 1978 version. I'll say 7 out of 10. When Ringo doesn't have full dye coverage, his hair does look like it's really thinning. Maybe so, but be that as it may, I think he's looking pretty damn good for a guy who'll be 86 in a couple of months. Yeah, you're not going to see Paul announce a Rubber Soul box set tonight. Looking forward to seeing Paul on Saturday Night Live tonight. Hopefully, he will also be doing a few comedy sketches. Probably he will. It was great in 1993. I hope they write them better. Not all of them are written that good when he does it. Paul is too skinny. He should gain a bit of weight, as far as I think. No, no Beatles, no Beatles singing. Do you think George was the funniest Beatle? No, I actually think Ringo is the funniest Beatle. I think Ringo is the funniest Beatle, followed by George and then John and Paul last, I think. There you go. There's some odds for you. Paul does not sing Uncle Albert Admiral Halsey. That's one of my most requested if he ever did it. But I keep saying if he could do some kind of arrangement of that, because you need Linda on that really too. But him and the band might be able to figure out a way to do it. Soul Man at the sound check. '86, and he dresses like an 18-year-old. The Adidas tracksuit, etc. Hello, Walkman. Thank you for being here. Thank you for saying hello. How many different concerts of Paul McCartney do I have on DVD? I don't know. They're up there behind Paul's head. I don't know. Any one that's released commercially, I have. If it's a commercial release, then I have some bootlegs too. John was the funniest Beatle. Dude was hilarious with his dry, witty sarcasm. Yes. Yes, I do have the Saturday Night Live box sets that came out. Yeah. I remember one time, because I love those years. Those were the years I grew up mostly, Saturday Night Live. And I remember, I was going to watch one every Saturday night. I was going to watch one. And you know what? Not all of them were great. When you watch every single episode, not all of them were classic. Is there a projected release for Danny's album? Oh, Second Coming. I think the Second Coming. Okay. He definitely can do it. He puts old footage of John on the screen when he sings I've Got a Feeling. Okay, I got to catch up here. Saturday Night Live will never top the Chris Farley interview with Paul. The funniest. It was funny. Yeah. If Macca did a song for the 90s tonight, what song would you want to hear? Oh, I'd have to think. I got to go through all the 90s songs in my mind. How am I going to do that? Okay. That's a good question, though. Let me think, though. Only one song? Some days, I guess, off Flaming Pie, but that's slow, Some days. I got to hear. I'm happy I got to hear Paul do Too Many People. Me too. It was a surprise, and I didn't know. Yeah, he says that this is for the Wings fans, even though it's not Wings. But yet, there's a lot of people out there that say, you only even Paul himself, Everybody seems to have their own opinion as to who did this and who did that, but I don't see how they can remember when they were where it was at. Like the Beatles don't like anybody else with their history. They say they're the best, they're the ones to know their history. They're not. They make a lot of mistakes. Although I think in Paul's mind, I guess he thinks of like being with Linda, like kind of wings. I think maybe that's what he's thinking with that. Thanks for the video on vinyl variations. Never knew it was that out of hand. Well, thank you for watching, as always. I'm usually in bed early at 65. I don't think I can stay up that late. I know the worst thing, I wake up like 5:30 a.m. or 6 a.m. I wake up like, it's hard to sleep. I wake up and my eyes see the clock and it says 5 something. And I try to go back to sleep, but I can only manage till 6. So I'm up like from 6 a.m. on. It's going to be hard for me to stay up till 1. Yeah, I remember when Chevy Chase was on. And yeah, I've heard a lot of these things too. And I think, I hate to say it, but I think that's largely true. And he's not doesn't have the greatest sense of humor either, I don't think. I have not seen the new Sean Lennon and Claypool album. Yeah, I haven't seen it or heard it yet. Did you hear the news that Paul turned down the offer to appear on the roast of Kevin Hart? I did hear that. Well, that goes to that figures, you know. Yeah, this gives McCartney another chance to tell the old. John and I were watching Saturday Night Live at the Dakota when the offer was on. Yeah, yeah. World Tonight documentary is good. Yeah. Yes, indeed. I saw George on Saturday Night Live in '76. Maybe you'll go live during or after Saturday Night Live, or maybe more practical to do a video. No. I doubt very much it's going to happen, Andrea, because I'm going to wait till Sunday. I'll wait till the Sunday sometime. I'm not going to jump on. I won't be live, and I'll make a video somewhere in the next day. Probably. Yeah, I don't Night Owls. No way, no way. I do like the song "The World Tonight," by the way. Did you start watching Saturday Night Live as early as '75? Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, I mean, it wasn't every show. I didn't watch every show, but did your SNL set contain season 17 with the entire Susan Day episode? I don't recall. I don't recall. Season 17. There's no 17 sets that I know of, right? Okay, I'm reading this. Okay. Yep. I love the unplugged official bootleg CD, and I love the show even more. Watching it visually. Isn't it crazy that none of the Beatles were 30 when they did the photo shoot for Abbey Road? Not even 30, and they accomplished more than most people could do in 10 lifetimes. Yep, true that. The George and Paul Simon duets on Saturday Night Live were fantastic. Yes, they were. I've never seen them released as a bonus on any album. I've always wondered why. Yeah, was that released anywhere? The audio of that. I don't think so. Maybe I'm wrong. Watch closely tonight so you can compare the performance after the sweetening. Well, we'll see. We'll see. All right, folks. We're talking about Saturday Night Live. Paul on Saturday Night Live. It's just the first 5 Saturday Night Live seasons. I stopped at 4 because no Belushi and Aykroyd in season 5, except for Belushi cameo. What's for dinner? We don't know yet. We have nothing planned. Yes, McCartney is on Saturday Night Live tonight. Yes, he is. Okay, I guess the episode is only on the Peacock app. They have all seasons and episodes, but they are all edited down, so you don't get the full shows. Yeah, they don't have that season. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know how that works in Britain. Does anybody know how it works? Saturday Night Live. Is it in Britain? Yeah. Doesn't s- doesn't season 5 have? Is that the one with? Doesn't it have Coming Up on there with Paul? Isn't that Paul's first appearance? It's on 11:30 p.m. Eastern time. What future releases are you absolutely waiting for and will get? Well, right now, the only thing is the Paul album that I'm waiting for that I know of. You know, probably forgetting other things too now. I don't know if it was taken down. I didn't know that. If it was, I didn't realize. Happy with anything other than Hey Jude. Well, he did that in '93 anyway. Yeah. Yep. Thank God. Yes, exactly. Well, the Guido Sarducci. Oh, there we go. Nobody's Child. The Romanian Angel Appeal CD has the Simon Harrison performance of Homeward Bound. Very nice. Hopefully, well, one thing's for sure. If you want to see McCartney's Saturday Night Live performance on YouTube, I would advise checking YouTube very quickly because you never know if it is on there. You never know how long it's going to remain on there. How do you think Michael Jackson buying the Beatles catalog back in the day would have gone down differently if John didn't die? There's no way of knowing. There's no way of knowing. I wish I had an answer for that. Um, oh, maybe Paul will be on a Jeopardy skit since Will Ferrell is hosting. Could be. Yeah, Dylan's on season 5. John was a peace activist, so if he didn't die, I bet he would have been part of We Are the World recording in '85. The problem with these kinds of things is that everybody only knows how a person was up to what they've done till they died. You know what I mean? Look at Ringo. God forbid if Ringo had died in 1980, he never would have embraced the Beatles again as much as he does now. For example, he would never have toured. Like if you would have asked, that's a good example. Ringo never toured. If Ringo had died in 1980 or 81, and you say, I wonder if Ringo Starr would have toured had he lived, you might say, I don't know, Ringo never liked touring much. Probably not. You know what I mean? We don't know. And as far as John goes, remember, John always changed his mind and changed his views on all kinds of things. So you don't know what he would be thinking 85 or 2026. Okay. CD collection of B-sides would be great. I hope Paul does turn his attention to this rather than remixing Beatles albums. I would love to see some kind of big Paul compilation where all the bonus tracks, all the B-sides, all the odds and ends were accumulated all together on an official, whatever you want to call it, cold cuts or whatever. I would like that. It's time for a sip of water. Unlike Paul, I have to take a sip of water. Okay, it's one little sip. No, I don't think you get me because, like I said, you could say whatever you want, but you don't know what John Lennon would have thought later. He always changed his mind, and he was changing his mind politically. For example, even in 1980, if you listen to his RKO interview, the last day he was alive. What are the chances McCartney will do a medley? None now, because our dear friend Uncle Paul, not Paul McCartney, but Uncle Paul's Beatles show Playhouse was up here, and he must be in the know. And he tells us Paul is going to be doing Days of We Left Behind, and also Band on the Run. He's not going to be doing a medley. So one of the many sad things about John's death is all his talk about going out to perform after Milk and Honey. But he didn't say much about that. That's another thing too. What he said privately is one thing, but publicly he didn't say much about it at all at his last interview. Did you ever think what you'd say to Paul if he got on an elevator with you? I'd have to think of something funny to say, something humorous. Don't worry, I don't know who you are or anything. I'd say something, so I don't know, try to get him to laugh. I don't know. Yeah, you put this up before, but I didn't put it up. There's a sense of humor there for George. There you go. I don't feel we need Beatles albums remixed. The four Beatles were happy enough in the 60s, so why rehash? No, that's not exactly true, because John Lennon in 1974 said he didn't like some of the stereo mixes that were done. He didn't like some of the mixes with the original Red and Blue albums. He said he thought some of them were embarrassing. So you never know. And by the way, no, Ringo has been very happy with the remixes, because Ringo always says you can hear the drums now finally, because they boost the drums up. And I also think that I didn't like that stereo hard panning, vocals one side, music on the other side. But anyway, I think you were in the Monkees, right? Or something like that. Yeah, maybe that's a good joke to say. Mickey Dolenz, something like that. Will you be having a nap before the show? It's unlikely, unless I fall asleep accidentally, unintentionally. I don't intend to have a nap. Well, see, Henry keeps pushing and pushing and pushing this. You don't really know. You do not know, and I do not know. Okay, you think John would continue his activism into 9/11, 2001? Hopefully he would. Hopefully he would. I mean, as far as 9/11, that was a big world-changing event. You don't know how he would have felt, and I don't know. Okay, let's at least agree on that. You know, you would think something like 9/11 that brought everybody together. Not just, so John would probably be vocal on that. No, I don't know if I'd agree with that too much. No, that the singles compilation doesn't have all bonus tracks and things on it. It's just, I think Tony, I'd agree with you that it's a step in the right direction, though. It's true that if it wasn't for Olivia, George might have been killed when he was attacked. That's true. In some ways, Olivia saved him. In my high school years, 75 to 79, and those were my years too, more or less. Rings were not cool. Yeah. Yes, I heard Double Fantasy Stripped. If you want to check out a review I did of it here, be my guest. Paul's bass is a bit too loud on some of the new remixes. That could be true at some times, but the drums are improved though anyway. Mono Beatles CDs, the best for me. Yeah, but even those need to be fixed a little. I think, in my opinion, anyway. I don't know. I feel like George probably would have lived a couple more years if the attack never happened. That probably took a toll on his overall health. Well, I think his son Danny thinks that, and probably true. Yeah. I got a guy in a comment the other day, bad mouthing America. He was from the UK and he was bad mouthing America and saying how all these horrible things happened. And he said, a beetle was never killed anywhere but America. And I said, George was nearly killed in the UK. So, I mean, come on. Hey, I've never tried to get tickets to SNL. No, sir. Yeah. Yeah. There you go. I think so, Philip. But then again, the knife attack puncturing George's lungs and stuff that accelerated, I think, a bit. I was disappointed in the documentary about the lost base. I did a review on that too. I was a little disappointed. I found it kind of dull, honestly. I felt it could have been done in like 45 minutes or something instead of an hour and a half. Tug of war. I don't know actually. I know at the beginning in the early stages of Montserrat. I mean, Denny Lane took part in it, and I don't know if it was ever going to be like a Wings album. It might have been going that way. I think it's clear John was done with activism after the government spied on him. Thank you very much, Tony. Always a pleasure. Thank you for being here. Stereo or mono, the Beatles sound incredible anyway. John was unhappy with Strawberry Fields and many others. Yeah, John was unhappy with a lot of things, but like I said, a lot of great artists are. They're never satisfied. They always want to do better. You know. Surprising that George used "Hey Jude," "Na Na Na Na," and "Isn't It a Pity" when there was bad blood between them. Notice the friction at mixing desk and Abbey Road in Studio 2. Um, yeah, there's a little tension there, maybe. But yeah. Well, John got his green card in 19. Yeah, yeah, he didn't get him deported, and John got his green card in I think 75, wasn't it? Was it the same day as Sean was born? Every time this question comes up, I'm always very sad and embarrassed in a way to say I don't remember how. I think and I remember seeing it on TV. I know that, but it doesn't stand out in my mind George's death only because we knew it was going to happen, and it wasn't a shock or it wasn't like just we were waiting for it. So you're asking me how I discovered it. The only thing I remember is seeing it on TV, George Harrison, in the corner, but I don't remember more details than that. I love Walls and Bridges. Walls and Bridges is a good album, and I think the Lennon Estate is going to put that album out in 2027. Not this year. I think it's next year. You never know. You never know. You could be married, then you won't be able to come online anymore, right? Well, I like both of them because the original anthology has a lot more material, but what they won, the Disney Plus anthology one, is concise and to the point. It's a little bit. Both of them work for different reasons. I think. If I could only have one, I'd pick the original one because just because it has more. George died November 29th. So yeah, same year. George Martin said, "No, I don't want a Wings record." I'm only 30, so I can just I can only just remember everybody talking about it and seeing it on the news. I remember more hearing about his attack. Yes, December 31st. What a way to end the year. The decade really. I know people say the new decade doesn't start until like 2001, but I go by 2000. No, I'm not getting any of that's another thing I'm not getting. I'm not getting any of the John Lennon Japanese CDs. In fact, I had those already before they were released, and I sold them. Crazy that George Martin lived until 2016. He was already middle aged when he was producing the Beatles. I don't know about that. How old was George Martin then? I can't do the math. How old was he in 1962? He wasn't that old. 30s? Help me out, folks. Middle age isn't until 40. Well, 35 is only middle age if you die at 70, but it's not really middle aged. 40 is more commonly considered. Thought $12 was a fortune back then for all things must pass, right? Yeah, I know what you mean. All right, folks, it's time to end. I've been here for a while, and this has been a really good. It's still a good audience, but I see a lot of people watching. But I might be able to go on a little longer if you want. But I'm just trying to see. Yeah, yeah. All right. So, how we doing, folks? All right, that's it. Okay, everybody. Thank you so much for watching. Much appreciated. And subscribe to my other channels. I have, don't forget, I have Mr. Cinemayo if you like movies and TV. And I also have, if you like to talk about life, and if you like rant videos, if you like when something pisses me to fuck off and I want to like rant about it, that's over on my channel, Mayo Loves Mondays. It's a lifestyle channel, just everything about life. So I appreciate everybody for being here. Don't forget, if you can, to watch Saturday Night Live tonight with Paul. And maybe I'll make a video about it, depending if there's much to talk about, and my opinion. And that's it, everybody. Cheers.